Hi, everyone. How are we doing? Everyone asleep from your lunch? Those French fries were delicious, or chips as you call them, right? Chips? Is that right? Okay. Well, we call them French fries, and they were delicious. And Paul, I don't know where you went, but my favorite football team is the New England Patriots. Okay, good. Same. So I'm very excited today to be, so my name is Thayer, Lavielle. I work at Wasserman, and I lead our women's group called The Collective, and we are focused really on bringing advocacy and kind of advisory services to just drive investment in women across sports, music, and entertainment. And so it's my pleasure today to be able to host this incredible panel around role models. But as I think you guys just kind of come up, there's no grand entrance or like drum beat, so just work your way. I'm gonna introduce these incredible ladies as we go. Okay, each of these women has carved out an inspiring path in and of themselves, demonstrating incredible resilience, vision, profound impact on the world around them. So many of you guys in this room are also incredible role models to those around you, and I wish we could hear everybody's story today. They represent the best of what's possible when talent meets unwavering commitment. First, we have Lucy Shuker, where there's Lucy, a name synonymous with perseverance and triumph in the world of sport. Lucy is a phenomenal Paralympian, a multiple Grand Slam champion, a three-time Paralympian medalist, right? Am I right in that? I'm making stuff up. Okay, well, I'm just gonna make it up. She's amazing. She is an Olympic medalist in wheelchair tennis. Her journey is a testament to incredible strength, both on and off the court, inspiring countless individuals globally with her unwavering determination and competitive spirit. And she's training to go to a competition in Italy coming up, and then she's gonna hopefully qualify for Wimbledon. Right? I have that right. So buy your tickets now. Okay, next we have, I'd like to introduce Dawn Venturas. Right here. Dawn is a visionary leader and powerhouse. She has an athlete herself in field hockey and played for Team Greece, although she's got a couple different nationalities going on, which we'll get into. She's also a visionary leader and powerhouse in the coaching sector. She started this women's coaching organization that is in the Middle East. It's the biggest that there ever has been in women's coaching. It's amazing. And she's consistently driven positive change, fostering growth and collaboration wherever she goes. And she is currently, and I believe the only, woman coach of the men's Saudi Paralympic swimming team.
Of any Saudi male national.
Of any Saudi male national team. How about her? Okay, then we have Adriana Brownlee. She just came to us, by the way, I thought I was jet lagged. She just flew in from Nepal. Where she was just on base camp, or at base camp, I'm not sure what you say. She's an extraordinary mountaineer. She started this at age 9 and completed some incredible feat of 3 peaks or something in 22 hours with your dad when you were little, right? Yeah, I mean, right. Her incredible achievements in high altitude climbing speak volumes about her courage, discipline, and mental fortitude. She was the youngest woman to climb the K2. Adriana's story reminds us of what enough grit, even the highest summits, are within reach. And finally, we have Sarah Bern. Sarah is an icon in the world of rugby, a celebrated athlete who has achieved immense success on the international stage as a key player for both England and the Saracens. Am I saying that correctly? Okay.
Sorry, it's actually Bristol. I can't have any press release going out, sorry. My apologies.
Fresh news, it's Bristol. I can say that one. Sarah's power, skill, and leadership have been instrumental in countless victories. She was World Player of the Year. She has 2 silver medals in the World Cup. She's about to go play into another World Cup this summer and comes off of another Six Nations title. Congratulations. True professional, pushing boundaries and setting new standards in her sport. So my work here is done. Anyway, so we are going to transition to sitting mode now. Is this on? Hello? Okay. So hi guys. Hi ladies. Awesome ladies. I am thrilled to be here and thrilled to really be able to sit with all of you guys and to talk about the power of role models. Each of you guys in your own lives have obviously had role models, men, women, other peers, teammates, people that you looked up to. I would love actually for each of you guys to think about looking back in your life, like who is that one person that sticks out to you as someone who inspired you to be your very best self? Just as Paula was saying, like we all have these limiting beliefs. Who was it that said, no, go bigger, go farther, you can do this? I'm going to start with you, Lucy.
I'd actually say my other half, who's in the room, Amos. I think so my background is I'm a T4 paraplegic, so I had a motorbike accident when I was 21. I was incredibly fortunate that my parents at the time have been amazing and supported me and encouraged me, so they gave loads of values and pushed me to try. So my parents were massive for me in just those first few days. And then I kind of came upon tennis not to be a Paralympian, just to find me again, to do a sport, to become what I felt was more normal. And then I got into tennis and became quite good at it. But I'd say Ames actually challenges me every day to be better, to not listen to others, their negativity, to who restrict me or who tell me that you can't do something. And it's like, actually, you can do this. Like, keep striving, keep being better, be better than those that are being, that are kind of putting myself in a box. Like, what do I want? And I want to be, I haven't won a Grand Slam. I still want to win a Grand Slam. And maybe this year it's at Wimbledon. But she's the one that keeps pushing me to keep striving to be, reach my goals.
That's an amazing story. And also, I think the fact that you were coming off of something that many, many people would see as really debilitating to your mental, and emotional stability, to one's mental and emotional stability. The fact that you had parents that really pushed you along and now have a support system that continues to propel you forward is a great thing. And here's to Wimbledon.
Fingers crossed, eh?
Yes, we're all hoping for that. Adriana, tell us about you were climbing with your dad, so I'm assuming that dad had a good impact on you, but who do you look back on and think, that person really mattered to me?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll probably mirror with the parents. They were the number one support growing up. And you mentioned the Three Peaks Challenge when I was 9. It was my dad's idea to do the challenge. It was my first mountaineering challenge ever. And he threw me into the deep end. I think no one under the age of probably 15 had ever done this. And even for adults, it was difficult. But he was there by my side through the whole thing. And we started on Snowdon. That was fine, smashed out of the park. Moved on to Scaffold Pike, and that was also great. We were feeling good. We were gaining good momentum. And then we got to the last peak, which was Ben Nevis, which was the hardest and the highest out of all of them. And I remember the first thing that happened as soon as I got out of the car, ate a banana and threw it all up straight away. I was extremely nervous. There was just a bad feeling in my stomach about this mountain. But I kept pushing on, and we made it. We got up to about 200 meters from the summit. And at that point, I started shaking, and I was uncontrollable. I was so cold. I didn't really know what was going on at the time. And I remember these people walking past us who were also going for their summit push, and they started putting layers and layers over me. I had everything in my backpack on. I had my jackets, gloves, whatever, but it wasn't working. And so my dad, he took my temperature, and at this point, I was borderline hypothermic. I was 34 degrees. And he sat me down on a rock. And at 9 years old, you don't really know what hypothermia is, really, what could happen. But obviously, my dad knew the dangers of going up. But he sat me down and he said, "Look, Adri, you've got one of two choices you can make right now." He's like, either you can go for this summit and you'll be the youngest ever to do the 3 peaks, or you can come back down to safety. And so I looked at him, I said, "Okay, Papa, let's go down. Let's quit the challenge." And so we got back down, and obviously I cried and I thought, I've let myself down. But he said to me, "Adri, this question that I asked you has just shown me that you've got the mindset to be a mountaineer. You know when to turn around, and you know how to make safe decisions, and you're going to carry this with you for the rest of your life." And so I did. And my father was the one that, asked me these difficult questions, that put me in difficult situations, and that got me to where I am today. And just last year, I finished my 14 8,000-meter peaks. Finished on Shisha Pangman, Tibet, and did that without supplementary oxygen. But he was the one that pushed me to try without oxygen, pushed me to go to new levels. And then the other one, just quickly, is my partner, Galje Sherpa, who I met on the mountains on my very first peak in the Himalayas in Pakistan. And he's the most incredible incredible Sherpa or person in the world. He's got the world's highest solo rescue on Mount Everest at 8,400 meters. He took a Malaysian man on his back on his own. So to climb with him has been incredible, and he's also been my motivator and pushed me to go on.
Wow. That's amazing. No pressure.
I wish I went before Adriana, to be honest.
Go ahead, Sarah. I'm sure you have some great stories.
No mountains, not for me. I guess my inspiration, family, is always a big one. They're always there. They allow you to go to camps. They push you through whatever you need to go through. My gorgeous partner as well. Every day, if you have a little bit of a wobble, you pick up the phone, you speak to your partner. They're the ones that say, what are you going on about? You're fine. Go back out there. But actually, most recently, I managed to work with Ilona Maher. So Ilona Maher, if you don't know who she is, she's this amazing sevens rugby player, a US rugby star, and she is absolutely smashing barriers. She's actually now the most famous rugby player in the whole world. So she smashes all the men out the park by not just like a little bit, by about 3 to 4 million. She smashes them out of the park. So to see a female role model who is she's very strong in stature. She is incredibly athletic, and her whole brand is about how beauty and beast can coexist together. And for me, I think growing up, I had brilliant role models like Serena Williams. Like, she was a big role model to me, how she dominated for years, and she was muscular and she was extremely athletic, and how she dealt with a lot of controversy growing up, in always being in the limelight. She was amazing. But most recently, I worked with Ilona, and you couldn't tell. She's a lovely, down-to-earth person, and she just radiates confidence. And that's probably the biggest thing I think in women. We don't have confidence, really. We kind of do. Like, we're very good at pretending we have confidence, but inside you're like, oh, did I just mess that up?
A lot of imposter syndrome.
Do I look bad? Like, it's a lot of that stuff. And she's very good at just being like, why do we think like this? And actually, we don't need to think like that. Like, we can celebrate the successful stuff we do. We can celebrate each other's successful thing. We don't have to compete against each other. Women very much are kind of put against each other in this world, and we can rise each other up rather than bring each other down. And she was amazing, and she just whispered to me. She left. We had a lovely season with her, and we're gonna be playing against each other in the first World Cup game, which is gonna be quite scary because she's a brilliant athlete. But she just said, go bigger. Like, literally when you said it, like Ilona whispered, she was like, you're great, go bigger. Yeah, she was like, sorry, get emotional. I am emotional as well. Don't panic. I'm okay. This isn't uncommon, and if I do it again, don't panic. But she said, like, you've got amazing personality. Go out there, and she goes, I'm going to tell the world as well that you're amazing. And like, she does, and she still does. And even with things that I'm like, what? You don't need to do that. It's okay. Like, we had like an award, and it was for this, a player of the year. And she's like, who's been your best player of the year? She like literally tags Sarah Bern, like everything. She tags Sarah Bern. I'm like, Ilona, you're embarrassing me now. Can you stop it? Can you stop tagging me?
It's a very British reaction.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
But yeah, she definitely, for me, is someone that inspires me every day, and someone I really looked up to. But also, it's amazing to have such a close connection with someone that you inspire to be so much.
That's great. Dawn.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me. Well done, good job. I'd just like to say thank you to the sponsors, Aramco, Wasserman, Thayer, my fellow panelists, everybody in the crowd, especially the male allies, the men that are in the room. Can we please give them a small round of applause? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the family, and I'm going to dive into the community. For where I am in the region in the Middle East, family and community go side by side, but it should be like that all over the world. In 1980, I'm going to take you way back before I was born, the country I grew up in, so one of my nationalities, won an Olympic gold medal in field hockey. So it's no surprise that you introduced me as someone who played field hockey. The impact of their legacy led a whole generation of youth athletes from school into clubs, regional and national level. However, as inspiring and as impactful as they were, because I followed in those footsteps, it's the youth that are inspiring to me. And there's one special little girl that I'd like to highlight, a little girl that I went to school with. And one of the reasons I do what I do as a coach is to caretake for the next generation. It was a bitterly cold winter morning in Zimbabwe, and we were playing a field hockey game. And I was 16, and I was umpiring a 14-year-old's game, as the seniors do for the juniors. And this little girl had her knee blown out. The ambulance had to come, had to take her away, and our job as seniors were obviously to stop the game, look after the rest of the team, make sure she was taken care of. A year and a bit later, this little girl qualified for her first Olympic Games, and she decided to specialize in swimming. She then proceeded to go on to 5 consecutive Olympic Games and become Africa's most decorated Olympian in history. The little girl that I'm talking about is today's IOC President-elect, Kirsty Coventry.
Wow.
So she is my role model.
That's amazing. That is quite a story. You knew her when? So understanding, you guys are all from different backgrounds. You've seen all sorts of parts of the world, literally from the highest peaks to rugby fields, to tennis stadiums, and beyond. Understanding that we have like an incredibly vast digital landscape today in social media, how does that play into your own kind of development of how you are a role model for people? Like, how much do you take that into account as you're out in the world? Like Ilona Mer, for example, is very conscious of her community that she has built and very intentional with that in the best way. But also, what feeds you as you're going out into the world and understanding, like, what is it that's feeding you to be the best you can be, other than the people in your life? Like, what kinds of stuff are you reading to be the best role model? What kinds of stuff are you ingesting to be the best role model, or ignoring, equally important? Like, what are you not doing to be the best role model? I'm going to start, Dawn, with you.
Again, I don't know how much time you guys have. Thank you for the question. So earlier on in one of the panels this morning, they were talking about how the Middle East, or that region, aligns everything with a vision. So I've spent 17 years in the United Arab Emirates, and they had a 2020 vision, which they've largely executed on, to create a city of the future, to create something wonderful and inspiring, world's tallest building. Everything you know about Dubai is real. Like, it's that flashy, it's that outlandish. And most recently, I've stepped into Saudi Arabia. So their vision 2030, once again, is so inspiring, and more so for the next generation, which is something my Saudi Arabian colleagues were talking about before. What we do today and the seeds that we plant and the history that we write and the legacy that they develop for themselves is not just inspiring to be the first, but in order to be impactful and create that vision and beyond so it is sustainable, it's so important to be able to get everybody on board and align with that vision and execute. So that's what inspires me, and it's effective, it works.
Tell me, how do you apply that to the role as the only woman coach of a men's Saudi national team?
Okay, I came prepared for this question.
Yes.
I brought a prop.
Oh.
One of these. You may recognize this as a gold medal. This gold medal in particular comes from the Kingdom Paralympic Swimming Championship. And to answer your question, it was given to me by one of the athletes on my team. And he had won several of these gold medals, so it's not a big deal that he gave me one. But it is kind of a big deal, because as we were walking out of the competition with his father, it's a very family-orientated environment, he turned to me and he said, "Dawn, I want you to take this gold medal." He's only 16 years old. And I said, "No, Turkey, this is your gold medal, you keep it." And at age 16, young Saudi man, he says to me, "Coach Dawn, when we work together, we win together." So for these young men who will become the leaders of Saudi Arabia tomorrow, to understand what it's like to have a female in a leadership position and work with her to achieve success so that it is a collective and everybody wins, that is what it's all about, really. So, yeah.
That's great. Right? Adriana, let's start with you. Do you like when you're thinking about social, digital, where you're being fed in your soul and what you're reading, ignoring, all of those things, how do you do that? Because I can imagine when you're like up in clean air, like there's a great signal or there's no signal on your phone. I'm not sure what, but
Yeah, there's a mix of stuff. I mean, yeah, really, social media, the digital world, it's the future and it's the now as well. And I think, you know, as role models, as influencers, whatever you want to call yourself, having this digital world in the palm of your hand can be incredible, can give vast opportunities, endless, limitless opportunities, the ability to advocate and bring things, positive things to the world that can be viral in minutes. But it can also be very dangerous, you know, to have this all so close to you, especially in the mountains where you're facing life and death pretty much in front of you. Very high pressured situations. There's some peaks that have 35% death rate. The last thing you need is some negative messages or media on your phone. But it's something that you've just got to learn to adapt to. Adaptability is one of the biggest lessons I learned in the mountaineering world. And it's a great lesson for anyone when it comes to kind of the digital side of things. Role models, influencers, they bring a lot of positivity to the digital world. It's one of the good things about it. But sometimes people make mistakes. Some people can say the wrong thing. Some people can bring negativity as well, even if they don't mean to. And kind of the ability to sort between what is great and what is not so great can be difficult. But it's a skill that I think we have to learn and adapt and take on. And yeah, you just kind of have to ignore those bad sides. And on the mountains, we just put the phone away, enjoy the nature, take it all in. You know, we're in some of the most beautiful places in the world. So we try to disconnect from everything and just focus on our one mission and our one goal.
that's amazing. Lucy, what about you?
Yeah, I think way back when I had my accident, there wasn't social media. It was all just being launched. And obviously, I think as a newly injured person, like you feel different, you feel isolated, you're like my confidence disappeared. I was 21 years old and I'd suddenly, who I was I thought I was different. And I think as time's gone on and the world's changed and the social media platforms that we have as individuals and also as the media platforms out there, that we share way more stuff. So then I always say, if you can't see it, how do you know that you can do it yourself? Or you believe in others, you believe in yourself. So hopefully like through the platform that I have, if I can inspire another little Lucy that breaks her back and wants to try wheelchair tennis and suddenly they find that they feel way more inclusive and less different, then that's amazing. Like social media out there is, I use it, I scroll, I'm one of those people. I use it to find the 1% to make impacts that changes for me, whether it's chair technology, like we're always advancing that, making chairs smaller and lighter. Nutrition, I came across Ainsley and Ainsley recently. It's a nutrition supplement. And when I'm getting up at 4 a.m. in the mornings and having to play a match and I've maybe had 4 hours sleep, their stuff, which is apparently all absolutely fine to take, I feel, apparently, it's...
Somebody
makes
take a note. What is this called?
It's called Ainsley and Ainsley. It's just a little night powder. But yeah, like sleep and recovery, ability to perform the next day, like mentally way more aware. And sometimes that's on 4 hours sleep. And I'm like, how am I at 45 years old still able to keep up with these 20-year-olds that are chasing my ass, literally, and trying to beat me on a tennis court? So yeah, like to me, social media has the ability to be such a positive thing, and I think we all share always the highs, and sometimes, like for me, I also try and be authentic and share sometimes the lows as well, because there's a lot of losses with a few wins. Let's be honest, tennis is a brutal sport, yeah, it's one of those things that I think we can just be authentic and true and share the wins and the losses, the highs, the lows. It's there to be seen.
Do you feel that you've been able, over the journey of, since your accident, of kind of a new coming into yourself, because you are physically differently abled now, Do you feel like, I mean, you have different abilities or,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Do you feel like it's incumbent upon you to be a role model at times, even if you don't want to, because of the position that you're in? Or do you feel like, suck it up, buttercup, this is the role you're in? Like,
Yeah, I think if you'd asked me like 20 years ago, suck it up, I'd be like tantrums or crying or upset. Sure. But I think that's also natural. I think as a person, you have emotions. We all have emotions. And I, on one hand, I embraced it. I was like, I'm going to walk out of this hospital. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not going to walk out of this hospital at all. I've absolutely done a good one to myself. But then it's also then going, life is still, there's still a life to be lived. And it's like I've met people during the tennis world, like from quite early on to then suddenly be like, you look good in a chair. Oh, and that's coming from me who's like all of a sudden going, I don't want to be in a chair. I hate being in a chair. I hate how I look. To seeing somebody in a chair going, they look good in it. And then it's like, then I feel like, oh, well, I too could maybe start to look good in a chair, and you get a chair that fits you. And then even I met Georgia today, and she's like, oh my God, your chair's so skinny. And I'm like, but I want you to see me. I don't want you to, yes, you'll naturally see the chair. Sure. But then we naturally have that ability to share that, I think. And yeah, the social media aspect of it is be authentic and show those positive bits, those negative bits. I don't mind letting people in to know me as a person, and also the hard times that I think we all go through. Mm-hmm. Mine's just a bit different because I had an accident, and that's okay. But it's also going, it's okay, let's not wallow, let's get better, let's be better tomorrow than we are today, let's learn from the mistakes that we make today and be better tomorrow.
I love that. Sarah, when you're thinking about social and how you're showing up for, I mean, rugby is having a moment, for sure. Red Roses are definitely having a moment, for sure. When you think about how you're showing up and how social and digital plays into that, do you feel pressure to show up differently, or do you feel like, I'm just who I am? I mean, you seem like I am just who I am, but I just met you, so maybe you're not.
I just cried on stage.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Maybe you need some Ainsley and Ainsley. Or?
Yeah, I know. Get me some of that powder.
I'll share the details.
QR code, please.
Yeah, I think traditionally, so rugby is a very male-dominated sport. It's seen as hyper-masculine. It's not seemed as feminine at all. So women's rugby, in terms of the negative side of it, we've faced a lot of it. We face it every day, even within unions. There's arguments all the time. Why is it not equal to the men? There's all different logistics to it, but we do face the negative side, especially on social media. And I think social media is incredibly powerful, but I think you have to know who you are. And if you ask yourself that question and you go home and you go, who am I? And it's very easy as an athlete. Like it says here, Sarah Bern, England rugby player. And that's who I was. I was a rugby player. And rugby players were serious. They were professional. They did their sport really well. And actually, when you mix that with social media, that's kind of boring. You don't want to see that all the time. It's great to see for inspiration, but you don't know who I am. You could see there's another 30 rugby players who are doing the same thing. So actually, you need to do it authentically, and to do it well, go home, ask yourself who you are. If you don't know who you are, that's a good starting point. And likewise, if you don't like who you are, if you don't like who the person you are, in terms of you're so driven that you can't have a laugh and a joke, like things like that, okay, that's another starting point. Let's change it. Other people, because if you don't like yourself, it doesn't need to be love, doesn't need to be super the other way. If you don't like yourself, there's no point even trying to share it, because you're going to watch other people on social media and keep criticizing yourself. I'm not good at that, so I can't do that. Or I'm not funny, so I can't post that. Or even just looking at people in bikini pictures, there's so many of them out there on Instagram. I don't look like that. And rugby, I think, is brilliant because you have every single type of person on that pitch. You have players like me, bigger, broader, however, no one else can do what we do on the pitch, because that's what our role is. And if I'm not big, if I'm not strong, if I'm not heavy, I'm going to be a terrible prop because I'll just get sent into space. And no one wants that. So if I'm not good at that, I can't do it. I can't do my job. When I come into the real world, it's like every single woman in here who watches social media, who watches TV, I don't like the way I look. And that's very real for athletes because we are very muscular, we are very big. Like trying to get clothes that fit is incredibly difficult from a women's section. So I think that's something I had to learn was, what do I like about myself? What do I enjoy? What do I like? What am I good at? And actually away from rugby, not as a rugby player, because I can always lean on that. And then that's how I was like, well, actually, I'm good at making people smile. I like smiling. Hope everyone else likes smiling. So I want to help people do that.
Anyone not like smiling?
I did have to get Botox, so I did frown too much for a while. So that helps. You have to. So I wanted to help people do that. And I spent years, I was always bigger, so I spent years not really liking my body. I grew up in a house full of women, a number of eating disorders. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that. Not just men, this is not me being exclusive to men, this is my experiences being around women a lot of the time. We're really hard on ourselves for how we look. And it took me this season, I just thought, who cares? Like, who cares? We are winning games back to back to back. We are growing, we are the biggest growing sport. And for me personally, I'm the only prop, so that's my position in the rugby pitch, male or female, to be nominated for World Player of the Year. So, thank you. Yeah.
Amazing.
Someone keeps telling me all the tries I've scored. And for that, you take confidence from what you've done. So if I can take confidence from what I've done and something that's never been done before, I like who I am, I want other people to smile and have fun, and I want to be kind, well, actually, that's all my page is going to show. It doesn't matter if I'm serious, it doesn't matter if I'm silly. And it's a really funny topic because, sorry, I know I'm talking for ages, so just tell me to shh. But we were, I started to push a lot on social media. I was really inspired by Ilona Maher, and I was like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do what she said. She told me to be myself. I'm going to go be myself. And it's a very brave step to go out there and go, I'm just going to be me. And my friend Jasmine Joyce, she plays for Wales, and we were on BBC, and BBC said, oh, can you do a TikTok dance? Because I did one with the crowd, and BBC didn't know what I was doing, and they just filmed me dancing, which I can tell you now, I didn't find it very flattering, but it wasn't my choice because it went viral, so I had to find it flattering. Anyway, but like I said, I said, oh, how cool would it be? Wales got this massive crowd. They've never got this amount of people before. It's a world record for Wales to be playing at the Principality Stadium because traditionally they weren't allowed to play in that stadium because they didn't get enough crowd because we're women. That's a different topic. Anyway, and I said, Jazz, shall we do a TikTok? And we did the TikTok. And it was funny. All the presenters liked it. All the crowd loved it. The girls were all buzzing about it. And it went out. And the amount of hate that Jazz got because Wales had lost the game. But the point of the TikTok was to celebrate the record-breaking crowd that they had and the amazing atmosphere they created. It wasn't about Jazz not taking it seriously. And actually, people keep going, would you do that again? Would you do that? Yes, I would do it again, because it's shown that actually connection in women's sport, being who you are, being happy, being able to celebrate other people is way more important at this point in time than the results. And I think actually sometimes that's what men's sport need to remember. It's about uplifting each other. It's not always about destroying each other, feeling sad and serious all the time.
There's a lot in there, yes.
That's the end of my TED Talk.
There's a lot in there that I could riff about, but I do find that this moment in time in women's sports, what I really appreciate, and I have a 16, almost 17-year-old daughter, is the way that young women uplift each other today around sport. Is like when I was younger playing sport, it was like, that's my position and I'm coming for it. And that is not at all the case today. I might be, my daughter will lead from the bench as well as she'll lead from the field, which is incredibly inspiring. And I think social media has had a big part of that. Adriana, I'd like to understand this concept. We were talking a little bit, or also heard from Paul talking about this, these limiting beliefs, right? You're scaling a mountain. There's probably not a lot of room. There's you can't give a lot of daylight to limiting beliefs because no whoopsie daisies allowed there, right? So how do you shut stuff out, and how do you what's advice for us as you're when you're going through everyday self-doubt, which is human?
Yep.
How do you teach me, Yoda?
I mean, what you're saying, Sarah, about having that self-belief and that self-confidence is number one. You know, without that, you're not going to get very far. And when you're on the mountains, it's that very, very thin line, and there's no error. You can't make mistakes up there. One detachment of the rope and you're gone 3,000 meters down a face. And that, to overcome that and to be safe on the mountain, you need to be confident and you need to have that self-confidence. It's incredibly important. And it's something that you have from your role models as well. You know, you pick up from them, you learn great things from them, my parents, my partner, Gelje, and it's something that you kind of grow to gain. And it's something that's quite difficult nowadays, as you were saying, the pressure from social media. Everything on social media looks so easy, looks so nice. There's very few people that will post the true grit and the hard work that goes behind something. Nowadays, I'll look online and it's all, you know, summit photos and happy days and sponsor photos, but there's not much of, you know, I had to write 500 emails just to get $5,000 sponsorship for this climb, or I had to train X amount of days, and, you know, X amount of days I felt like shit, really. I didn't want to go out and train. You don't get that much. So it's kind of about brushing those aside, not comparing yourself to others, because I think we do that way too much, and just believing in what you have inside. And I think that self-belief came from having that goal, having that mindset to just go and do this 14 Peaks challenge. And I knew deep down that I could do it, and I felt unique doing it. I felt like I was one of the only women doing it. I felt strong, I felt powerful. I finally had a platform to talk on social media about mountaineering, and that gave me a lot of self-confidence and a lot of self-belief. And in those hardest moments on the mountain, when there's boulders hurtling at you at 100 kilometers per hour on a vertical face, and you're abseiling and your lives are in the hands of the mountains, you go back to that self-belief and you go back to that positive, amazing human that you know you are, and you think, you know, I can get through this. You know, I have the power to go through those hardest moments. And also having Gelje by my side, my partner, he just adds that extra element, that extra icing on the cake when he tells me, you know, keep going, just keep pushing, you'll be okay. So that's kind of how I got through it. And I think, yeah, it's something that you can take into normal life as well, just having that self-belief.
I'm literally going to print a picture of you next time I'm tired of my Zoom calls and think, this is not what she does all day. That's amazing. Dawn, you have an incredibly varied audience here of people who are creating policies and can help shape, you know, decisions in different organizations. How, like, you have worked across many different markets, and you work in Saudi Arabia and Dubai, and you have grown up in Africa, and you've played for Greece and all of these things. And here you are in London. How, like, what would you say about the things that are needed to create a more inclusive environment from your perspective? Because you have an incredibly varied experience. And perhaps talk a little bit about the coaching organization that you have built, which is super important, I think, for role models.
Thanks, Thayer. You missed something from the list. I was born in London as well. So
Born in London.
Add that to
She's
the
home.
list. So to actually tie in what everyone else has said, visibility, diversity, and inclusion. When we're looking at what I was talking about earlier, which is the Vision 2030, one of the pillars of that vision for Saudi Arabia is a better quality of life for everybody. And I think that should be inclusivity everywhere. And sport really does enable that, especially the discipline of swimming. I'd just like to highlight a success story for Saudi Arabia with regards to the recent Paralympic Games that happened last year in Paris. And they won a gold medal, Abdul Rahman Al-Qarashi, I hope I say his name right, in the T53 chair category. I'm not exactly sure what chair category it's called specifically, but he won a gold medal for Saudi Arabia. So what does that do? It enables him to become a role model for millions of other girls and boys who are maybe just like him or similar to him, but it raises the visibility. To be impactful, I think in today's age where we've moved from radio and TV, to broadsheet newspaper coverage of sport, to online and now social media. It's really important for our athletes and our athletes of the future to now have a little bit of ownership on their own legacy that they're creating, and to help teach them how to do that responsibly so that they can become visible and represent the diversity in all of the communities. So as much as you need your facilities and your systems in place, and in Saudi Arabia, we're just building that. We're at the start of that ecosystem, and it's got a way to go. It's going really fast, but what we can tap into at the moment is our athletes. So whether they're driving cars or running races or swimming, you're enabling them to be able to control their narrative, and then that is also a huge part of raising the visibility of sport for everybody.
You guys are four of the most remarkable women I've literally ever met in my whole life. And I'd like to understand, like, what's next? What's the future that you want to see coming from your perspectives for the sporting world? In, you know, like, Adriana, I don't know if you're one of the only women that does what you do. I have no idea. This is like and I'm sure a lot of other people don't know that world either. But Lucy, I'd like to start with you. Like, where do you, when you think about what creates just a little bit of a better world for wheelchair tennis, what does that look like? Oh. And it could be a million things.
Could be. Like inclusivity, like I started playing with friends, family, coaches. I had an incredible first coach that took me to qualify for 2 Paralympics. And then I moved on and carried on. But like, she instilled so many like real firm values that even to this day that, you know, I rock up to a tennis court and, you know, you're there on time, you warm up correctly, you're giving it 100% effort, you're trying things. But then in terms of like organizations, so like the LTA, you know, I think they have a social responsibility to be more inclusive, to drive it from like social roots, like grassroots, just engaging in just the general population that, you know, who have a disability that want to try tennis. Like, to me, tennis is for everyone. But then it drives all the way up to like the elite level. So, you know, how high do they want to go? But don't restrict what people are able to do. Like, let's see what they can do. Let's support them, empower them every day just to be the best that they can be, because one person's success might just be getting on a tennis court and having a bit of a laugh with their friends. Another person's success is winning a Grand Slam. And then you can go as far as to the International Tennis Federation, where they have policies of classification, and how inclusive are we in the current classification system that allows people with all disabilities to be able to compete, in theory, on a relatively fair playing level field. But that isn't the case in our sport. I compete against people who might have a dodgy ankle or a dodgy foot, and yet I'm a T4 paraplegic, so there's a lot of me that doesn't work. Right. But those policies have huge impacts on us, like, you know, us minions that just want to play tennis and like just want to try it just for fun, just to be me. So I think everyone has that responsibility. Does that answer your question?
If there's one thing that you would want to say to this crowd about your sport, but also like where you're coming from, I would ask this of all of you guys. What would you want us to know? Or what would you want us to change or do or be more aware of? Or like, aside from the policies within the organizations, like, what can we all do to be better humans about creating better role models and opening our brains to where each of you are coming from, if that makes sense? Yeah,
I think I always say, try not to judge. Like, we naturally have that in our natures, I think. But try not to judge. Don't put people in a box to think what they can do. Let's see what people can do. Let's support each other to be the best that they can be. So I might struggle with changing a light bulb, but I can definitely pass you the box to do it for me. Like, work together to achieve that little goal. You know, don't put people down. I think we're quite quick to be like, oh, well, you can't do that, but I can. Let's support one another and be kind. And, let's see how we can help each other to be the best that we can be in that day, in that moment, whatever that looks like.
Okay,
So
that's good.
that's what I'd leave you with.
Yes, I like that. Adriana, tell us.
From those ropes.
Yeah, from the ropes.
I think
Boulders.
the world that we live in, like in general, not just the mountains, I think sometimes we can be quite selfish people in general. We can be quite closed-minded. We can find it hard to read and understand other people, and I don't think we try enough to understand. Like my father's in kind of the food industry, and he tells me that, you know, he's been to endless meetings, or he's met new people in the factory, for example, who've just come in. And the amount of people that just kind of brush past and just say, oh, what did you do before? Where did you come from? What did you study? What's your experience? But not like, what kind of person are you? What kind of leader are you? You know, how do you do emotionally? We don't dig deep enough these days. It's all very surface level. So I would say if we can try to understand each other a little better, it would make the world a better place. And I think it would rise up those role models that are overshadowed sometimes, because, you know, there's a lot of introverted people out there who aren't loud enough to speak over the outspoken role models of today. And so if we can ask them, like, you know, what type of person are you? And someone told me about there's kind of different types of leaders and different kind of role models in the world. And I have it written down here. And there's activist, reflector, pragmatist, and theorist. And if we kind of can categorize ourselves into some of those and tell people, oh, I'm an activist leader, I'm very outspoken, I like to set targets, you know, I like to do things pretty instantly, then we can learn more about each other. So I think that's my kind of key takeaway.
Ooh, that's good. Lots of good nuggets on this one. Sarah?
Mine's fairly short compared to my other answer, sorry. The best thing I probably have learned is a quote, and it was like, the best leaders don't show the world their superpowers, they show yours. And that's the most important thing to me, is that actually, if you lead with kindness, and it is difficult because you'll have instant judgment, like everyone has it, or you'll have instant things that are really hard to deliver, like harsh critics, and especially in sport, you're at high performance. But if you lead with kindness and go, this isn't good enough, but this is how we can make it better, that's probably the best thing I could say. And in all walks of life, lead with kindness. If someone cuts you up in the traffic, instead of shouting at them, just be like, oh, they could be in a rush to get to hospital or something. Like, there's always context to every single decision that we make. And if everyone in here chooses to lead with a little bit of kindness, I'm sure it'll be in a much nicer place. And the last one is buy a World Cup ticket. So
Or two.
all of them. There's still
Yes.
lots on sale. So
Yes.
bring your whole family.
Yes. Dawn?
Thanks. I would agree with all of the guests. I think that the point is relative to everybody, and we're here to try and build a more inclusive future. The gentleman that was on before, he was actually missing 2 bits on his, what did he say? Dream, believe, achieve. And then once you've done that, you need to inspire, and it needs to be more than inspirational, it needs to be impactful so it's sustainable. And I do want to leave you with a message that I received from a young boy on my team. He's the youngest boy, 14 years old, and we hope to see him in Los Angeles 2028. He's in the S5 swimming category, so he does not have the use of the lower half. And he sent me a message this morning which really touched my heart. Dear coach, I'm shaking a little bit. Standing and speaking, I'm actually sitting. Standing and speaking at Chelsea Football Club is nothing short of iconic. You don't just represent our sport, you represent vision, our vision, strength, and everything we believe in as athletes. It's truly an honor to witness somebody like you lead with such grace, power, and purpose. Your journey reminds us that limits are only in the mind and that greatness is built one step at a time. Thank you for being the example we aspire to follow and the voice we are proud to have beyond the pool. I mean, he's 14. He's a young Saudi boy. And yeah, His
I mean, that's a mic drop right there.
yeah, his name is Abdulrahman Al Ali, so watch out for him.
We're going to watch out for all of you. Thank you so much to these incredible role models. We are over time, and or we're just about over time, but I really want to thank you guys. You're literally some of the coolest people I've ever met. And now we know we have to buy tickets and be kind and get to know each other better. Turn to your neighbors and say hi and give them a hug. And don't judge them. Thank you.
I don't know if you need this anymore.